To start the day, we're going to hear about a technology that really has the potential to change the paradigm of medical education. So they don't let pilots fly planes unless they put thousands of hours into a simulator. And yet we're still treating medical education like it's something that we can teach and then let people go out and work with. So the development of simulation in medical education is really catching up, and UNMC is on the forefront of this. And I'm really proud to say that we're developing what I think can be the standard for minimally invasive surgery in a simulation training environment. This presentation also shows how important collaboration is. And so I tried to connect all the dots, and I'm probably missing 2 or 3, so correct me if I'm wrong here. But the initial idea was a collaboration between UNL, Carl Nelson, and UNMC, Dr. Joseph Su. The technology came to UNIMED. We've identified some development funds through a new institute called Unitech, which is helping us develop new technologies. I believe we're also applying to the Department of Economic Development for some development funds, which can help support this through their academic R&D project. And we've also partnered with a local development firm, The Garage by Avature, to help bring this into a commercial format. And so today we get to hear from Dr. Su and a representative from The Garage, Jeff Hansen, and they're going to tell us about the technology, Portcast, the development that they're going with, and why we think it's really exciting. So if you were able to attend the iExcel Expo yesterday, you had a chance to maybe see and play with the technology. I took it for a test drive, and I'm proud to say I scored, I think, a 3rd grade level, maybe. So most people are better than me at that, but that's okay. I guess I'm not going to be doing surgery anytime soon. So Dr. Su, Jeff, if you guys want to come up.
Thanks, Michael. And I'm going to keep it on this slide first and just say what the project is again. It's the Portable Camera-Aided System, and I'm just going to say Portcast going forward. And as Michael said, we're looking at a new way to deliver training within healthcare. And my background, as we talked about, is with the Garage by Avature, but this project, as Michael said, was a collaboration, and I'll kind of restate some of what you said. It started out with UNMC, UNL, and then UNIMED to develop a hardware, a software, and then a commercialization plan. And then recently, the Garage by Avature and Avature got involved in terms of refining or augmenting the prototype and then developing a go-to-market strategy and plan. So before previewing and demonstrating Portcast, which is where Dr. Su will come in, I'd like to set the stage and provide a little bit of context about what we're doing. And it's fitting that today I'm talking about technology on the day that was referenced in 1989's Back to the Future sequel. The world has changed a lot since then, especially for students. And this is really what this is all about. Today's students are different. First, they get information instantaneously from myriad sources. And if any of you have children that are students, either in high school, even elementary school, or in college, you know that they learn a lot differently and they absorb information a lot differently than they did in 1989. They collaborate instantaneously through social media and things like instant messaging. They are steeped in gaming and gaming technology, and I could go on and on and on about the differences. But this really leads to the challenge of education and training. First, how do we use modern tools to engage students? Next, in a world of free apps, how can we offer training that is inexpensive and accessible to everyone? And then lastly, how can training methods fully evolve to engage students? And at this moment, we are missing an opportunity, I believe. But the good news is that we have an opportunity to really change the game in terms of how we train individuals in healthcare and in other fields as well. Concepts like gamification, predictive learning, analytics, 3D visualization, and software as a service are popular buzzwords, but when combined into a platform, these technologies have the potential to thoroughly engage today's students. And this modern platform is really at the heart of what we're doing with Portcast. First of all, the platform is extensible to other products. So the software behind it can link to other products, either ones that have been developed today or ones that are going to be developed in the future. Its content is engaging through gamification, 3D visualization, and predictive learning. Its analytics are robust through real-time performance reporting and comparison to standards. And lastly, it's universally accessible through a web-based browser. And now to the really fun part. I want to introduce Dr. Su first. Dr. Su is an associate professor and coordinator with the Division of Physical Therapy Education at UNMC. He's also has over a decade of research in areas related to portcasts, including predictive learning and analytics, and has published papers with Dr. Olinikov here at UNMC. One specifically is virtual laparoscopic surgical skills practice using a multi-degree of freedom joystick. So you can see there's a little bit of the gaming involved in that. So Dr. Su, I'll pass it on to you and we'll try to get this going. Here we go.
All right, thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Michael. So the idea of podcast is pretty basic. If we can move a humongous simulator, about $100,000, and then move it like tiny little boxes, as well as is cheap enough for every medical student in the world can have one. I think that is the goal that we're trying to do. As well as learning is a continuum spectrum, so you should be able to learn whenever and then wherever you want. So the podcast has that vision, hopefully, that the system are able to be affordable as well as portable for students who would like to learn skills, especially laparoscopic surgical skill in this example. I want to just go ahead to show you a example we did yesterday during the iExcel expos. So this is a actual performance that recorded yesterday from a student who are interested to admit to UNMC in the future. So the idea is like the podcast is a web-based environment, and then providing a number of level of training, especially this one is a very basic, will require high coordinated skills, precision, as well as pretty high depth perception skills as well. So the idea is that we're providing the environment to tell the student how good they are or where they can improve, as well as we're providing instantaneous feedback with respect to their performance, such as speed or smoothness. Those are pretty key elements that as a student or future surgeon to be acquired in the future. Okay, and the student did pretty good job, okay, after field practice. So the podcast basically provide a full analytical performance or analysis so that as a student who are able to keep track the performance through time, as well as an instructor, they will be able to go through those performance through the web-based environment. So there is a possibility that the instructor or the teacher can sit next to the student to go through their performance in a simultaneous fashion, as well as the student are able to see how good they are among their classmates too. And then the report is pretty important, especially when we can looking at their improvements. For instance, how smooth they are through times or how fast they are able to complete the task. Those long-term analytical is very important when a student who become a resident or a fellow in the future. So we are kind of creating a platform for a lifelong learning as a comprehensive platforms. So we will be able to do is an online practice, like we can provide online classes, especially we can do an introduction of laparoscopic surgery on campus or in different medical school as well. And then we can provide a pretty comprehensive results based upon our analytical algorithms. And you will see that on the left side, there's a list of like students that are able to line up. Basically, what happened is like, in order for the student to be competitive enough so they can see the class and how they do. So it's kind of like competitive mode that all the medical students have inherited inside their body. So I will go back to Jeff to complete this presentation, especially looking at how we can market this in the future.
So hopefully that gave you a taste of really how you can apply some of these modern technologies to really change the game in education. And right here is a go-to-market roadmap. Really 3 steps, each building on each other. The first step is proof of concept at UNMC. And as Dr. Su said, it's really covering a broad spectrum of education, all the way from high school to residency and possibly even post-residency. And specifically at UNMC, the areas we'd like to focus are the High School Alliance Program, which is offered through the medical school, the clerkships M1 through M4 at UNMC, residency programs, specialties of general surgery, urology and OBGYN, and maybe even orthopedics. And then lastly, an IXL in a classroom. And that's really the first phase. And that phase ideally would occur over the next 2 years. Prove out the concept, and then take what's learned from there and do a couple things. License the back-end analytics and software to other manufacturers, and then also to sell the product that relates to laparoscopic simulation training to other medical programs, teaching colleges or schools, and then simulation centers. And then where it really gets fun is the new product expansion. And this is where the platform is linked to virtual reality, task trainers, patient simulators, both what exists and what's going to evolve and what we don't even know about. And lastly, just want to leave this with you before we open it up to questions. Portcast is proof of concept at UNMC right now. Again, it uses new technology to benefit healthcare training. Web-based, real-time feedback, performance analytics, something we didn't talk about a lot, but which is important. It's low cost and it's portable. And laparoscopic simulation training is just the start. So with that, thank you. And Dr. Su, if you want to come up, we'll open it up to a couple minutes of questions.
You said it was low cost. What is the cost comparison with what's currently available on the market versus what your box and software would be?
It's low cost relative to the higher end simulators like a Mimic, for example. It's more expensive than a rudimentary box trainer, for example, which is not very expensive at all.
How many patents do you have, and are they software and or software?
So far, we get one. Basically, looking at is the hardware design.
And do you have that? Is that a utility patent?
That one, I think so. Yes, that's true. Thank you.
Since you're really focusing on psychomotor skill development, have you benchmarked this against a standard such as a more expensive simulator or the less expensive simulator?
Yes, we're currently doing a study to validate whether this current model compared with a standard laparoscopic box that as a standard in the laparoscopic surgical domain. So we believe that as a current pilot study, we will see pretty promising result that they're pretty equivalent. Yep.
All right.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks.